Fule, being a radical, he did not listen to anybody. He did not back down, and you see that in the 1860s, he also opened a well for Dalits. Like Dalits were not allowed to drink water from the places where rest of the society also drank water.
लाइट्स कैमरा आज़ादी एक ऐसा शो है जो हस्तियों को ढूंढ रहा है। ये वो हस्तियां हैं जिनने हमेशा समाज को चुनौती दी है। ये वो लोग हैं जो हमेशा निडर, आत्मविश्वासी और अग्रिम रहे हैं। भले ही जनता ने कभी इन्हें सराहा ना हो, मगर इन्होंने हमेशा देश के लिए काम किया है। हम इनसे बात करके इनका नज़रिया समझना चाहते हैं, जानना चाहते हैं कि ये लोग समाज को कैसे देखते हैं, और ये सीखना चाहते हैं कि ज़िंदगी को बिना डरे कैसे जिया जाए। मेरा नाम है वंदित जैन और मैं इन कहानियों को आप तक लाने का बस एक माध्यम हूँ। हेलो एवरीवन, लाइट्स कैमरा आज़ादी की विजुअलाइजिंग कास्ट सीरीज़ के दूसरे एपिसोड में आप सब लोगों का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। उम्मीद करता हूँ आपको पहला एपिसोड पसंद आया होगा, काफ़ी आई ओपनिंग था। और अगर आप दूसरे एपिसोड सुनने के लिए आए हैं तो मेरे ख्याल से आपका सीरीज़ में एक दिलचस्पी बन गई है, और बननी भी चाहिए। खैर, क्योंकि जाति प्रथा, जातिवाद एक ऐसा मुद्दा है जिसने हमारे समाज को जकड़ रखा है, और कई सालों पुराना मुद्दा नहीं है, ये सदियों पुराना मुद्दा है। हज़ारों सालों से ये चलते हुए आ रहा है और आज तक हम इससे निकल नहीं पाए हैं। शायद इसलिए ये सीरीज़ करना मेरे लिए बहुत ज़रूरी हो गया था। मेरे व्यक्तिगत तौर पे मेरे लिए ये सीरीज़ एक रिवोल्यूशन से कम नहीं रही है। ऐसा नहीं है कि कास्ट के मुद्दे के बारे में पहले कभी मैंने पढ़ा नहीं था या जानता नहीं था, बट उसकी डेप्थ क्या होती है, किस तरीके से कास्ट हमारे डे टू डे लाइफ में छुपी हुई है, हम किस तरीके से जातिवाद आज भी प्रैक्टिस करते हैं और हमें पता भी नहीं कि हम वो जातिवाद प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं। तो इस तरीके की चीज़ों को जानना और समझना शायद मैंने इस सीरीज़ के माध्यम से और सीखा। जब मैंने ये सीरीज़ को क्यूरेट कर रहा था मैं, तो मेरे लिए बहुत जल्दी मुझे ये समझ आ गया था कि एक एपिसोड आप कास्ट नहीं कर सकते। वो शायद जस्टिफिकेशन ही नहीं है, मतलब वो आप जस्टिफाई ही नहीं कर सकते कि वो एक एपिसोड में अगर आपने कास्ट के लिए कर लिया था, और जैसा कास्ट जैसा मुद्दा अगर आप एक एपिसोड में कर देते तो ये बहुत क्लियर था कि वो एक से ज़्यादा एपिसोड होंगे। कितने होंगे वैसे तो अनगिनत हो सकते हैं, पर जो मेरी कल्पना थी वो ये थी कि मैं ऐसे लिसनर के लिए एक कास्ट का एपिसोड बना रहा था जिसको कास्ट के बारे में बहुत लिमिटेड नॉलेज हो, और जो नॉर्मल हमारी सो कॉल्ड मेन स्ट्रीम को जो पता रहता है कास्ट के बारे में उतना ही पता हो कि भाई वर्ण होते हैं, 3-4 वर्ण हैं, और जो पढ़ने लिखने वाले वो ब्राह्मण होते हैं, लड़ने वाले क्षत्रिय होते हैं, और उसके बियॉन्ड उसकी डेप्थ ना हो उस पूरे मुद्दे को लेके। तो मैंने कहा कि क्यों नहीं मैं इस तरीके से ये सीरीज़ को बुनूं कि शुरुआत में इसकी हिस्ट्री से करूं, ये आई कहाँ से, ये कैसी शुरुआत हुई, क्या क्या मेन चेंजेस आए कास्ट सिस्टम के अंदर दैट वर रिमार्केबल। फिर मैं थोड़ा थोड़ा कंटेम्प्रेरी इंडिया की तरफ बढ़ूँ, और वहाँ पे मैंने सोचा था कि मैं कुछ कास्ट रिफॉर्मर्स की बात करूँ। एंड ऑब्वियसली अगर आप कास्ट रिफॉर्मर्स की बात कर रहे हैं तो अम्बेडकर का नाम सबसे पहले आता है दिमाग में आपके, पर वहाँ पे मैं रुका नहीं, मैं थोड़ा उसके और पहले गया, और मैं काफ़ी टाइम से जितना मैं पढ़ रहा था, जो एक नाम दिमाग में आया वो था महात्मा फूले का। 19वीं सदी के एक थिंकर, फिलोसोफर, रिफॉर्मर रहे महात्मा फुले, और उन्होंने जो काम किया है जाति प्रथा को चैलेंज करने के लिए वो बहुत अत्यंत शानदार, और जिसको हम इंग्लिश में कहते हैं कि हैट्स ऑफ वाला काम है, और शायद इसलिए उनको महात्मा की किताबी भी मिली। तो उसकी चर्चा मैंने सोचा उनकी चर्चा करते हैं, उनके बारे में थोड़ी अवेयरनेस बनेगी लोगों को। और अंबेडकर के लिए तो, बाबा साहब के लिए तो मेरे को लगता है एक पूरी और सीरीज़ करनी पड़ेगी। तो इस रेफरेंस में मैंने देखा कि मेरी मुलाकात जो हुई तेजस से हुई, एंड तेजस EPW जो इकोनॉमिक पॉलिटिकल वीकली में कॉपी एडिटर है, और काफ़ी फियर्सली कास्ट के मुद्दे के में बोलते हैं और काफ़ी अपफ्रंट होके बोलते हैं। उनकी एक वेबसाइट भी है @सत्यशोधकsamaj.com, और उस पर वो कास्ट से रिलेटेड काफ़ी ट्रांसलेशंस करते हैं, आर्टिकल्स पब्लिश करते हैं, और मैंने देखा कि उनकी काफ़ी एक्सपर्टीज़ है महात्मा फूले के टॉपिक में। तो वहाँ से हमारी शुरुआत हुई और हमारी बातचीत बनी, and he quickly agreed to come on the show, and he definitely agreed to contribute as well. तो ये पूरी 1 डेढ़ घंटे की चर्चा जो हुई है वो महात्मा फुले की जीवनी पे हुई है, उनके जीवन पे हुई है, और सावित्री बाई फुले के जीवन पे हुई है। तो इसको थिंक ऑफ इट एज 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 लाइक हाउ डू आई कॉल इट, बायोपिक, एक एक छोटी सी ऑडियो बायोपिक ऑफ महात्मा फुले। और चलिए हमारे साथ और जानिए कि वो कैसा समाज था 19वीं सदी का, जिसमें जो हम जहाँ हम रहते थे, किस तरीके की इनइक्वालिटीज़ थी, और किसी को जाति प्रथा के खिलाफ लड़ने के लिए क्या क्या करना पड़ता था। So without wasting any time, let's go and meet Tejas. And first, let's take a quick commercial break. This episode is brought to you by Miva Naturals. Miva is a homemade brand dedicated to your personal care experience. Miva make products with dedication, love, and with a touch of nature. They don't use any chemicals or harmful substances in their products to ensure you get the best feeling, which is long lasting. Miva makes products which are colorful and are fun to use, and it aims to be your best experience in the whole day. If you'd like to order your first Miva product, please go to miva.co.in and insert the code AZADI during checkout and get instant 20% off. So, what are you waiting for? So, 3, 2, 1. Tejas Harad, welcome to Lights Camera Azadi.
थैंक यू।
एंड तेजस, ये आपका पहला पॉडकास्ट है?
हाँ, ये मेरा पहला ही पॉडकास्ट है। इसके पहले कभी किया नहीं है।
कोई बात नहीं। यहाँ इस शो में बहुत ऐसे बार ऐसे गेस्ट आते हैं जिनका पहला पॉडकास्ट रहता है। तो आई थिंक इट्स फन दैट वे। तेजस, ये बताओ कि फॉर लिसनर्स एंड आल्सो फॉर मी, कि आप ओवरऑल आप क्या करते हैं, एंड लाइक हाउ व्हाट यू डू राइट नाउ, एंड थोड़ा सा आपकी हिस्ट्री क्या है?
I am basically a journalist. I work at this weekly called Economic and Political Weekly. I work there as copy editor, and I'm working there like for last 7 years, and that has been like my main thing. And along with that, I sometimes write for other publications also, because EPW allows its staff to write for other publications. I do that once in a while. So basically that.
तो जब हम बात करते हैं कास्ट की या जाति प्रथा की, तो आपका कास्ट को लेके रिविलेशन वो कब हुआ? लाइक व्हेन डिड यू रियलाइज दैट कास्ट इज रियली अ बिग थिंग? और ये मैं इसलिए भी पूछ रहा हूँ क्योंकि ये, जैसा मैंने आपको बताया था, इस कास्ट पे सीरीज है, तो एंड जिसका एक ये एपिसोड एक पार्ट है। तो व्हेन वाज द टाइम इन योर लाइफ एंड यू रियलाइज कि यार ये कास्ट तो है, ये मतलब एक फैक्टर है जो आप यू कांट जस्ट इग्नोर इट, इट इज देयर, एंड लाइक व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट इट इन जनरल?
Frankly, this sort of revelation happened for me on social media, Facebook to be precise. I used to read since childhood. I used to read a lot, and I would mainly read news. But even then, I did not come across caste so much in the newspapers, in the magazines, and that could be because of the way media covers caste, or rather, does not cover it. And therefore, I had to wait till I got onto social media to understand the intricacies of this problem, and how caste system affects all spheres of social life. For me, that happened only after I started using Facebook regularly. And it was because of other users, other activists, that I started following, befriended, and they would like write regularly about this issue. And that is when I understood that one needs to like really study this problem, because you know that there is caste, it affects your life and everything, but until you understand the theory part of it, you do not really understand how it works on pan India level.
हम्म। और कभी ऐसा भी रहा कि आपके बचपन में या आपके ओवरऑल स्कूल टाइम में या कॉलेज टाइम में कि कास्ट के डिस्कशंस होते थे, या और वो एक अनकंफर्टेबल डिस्कशंस होते थे, या वो लार्जली आपका एक जो टाइम फ्रेम रहा वो रियलाइजेशन में कभी बीता नहीं कि यार कास्ट को लेके काफी कुछ डिस्कशंस हो रहे हैं, या कुछ जताया जा रहा है कि कोई अपर कास्ट है या कोई अपर कास्ट नहीं है?
I went to a small school, and there was no atmosphere of debates and debate competitions, things like that. So caste system was never discussed in school. And my village is small, and everybody knows everybody's caste. So caste was matter of fact kind of thing. Everybody knew everybody's caste, and you were supposed to behave accordingly. But there was no questioning of the system at all. you know so you don't look at the problem critically. That happened only after I started reading about it properly. The how it works as a system, what are all the movements about it, and how activists are fighting about it. So only when I read those things, I started observing those things. That is when the critical part came in the picture.
एक कोई ऐसा किस्सा बताओ ना जहाँ पे मतलब वो जो रियली हार्ड हिटिंग रहा हो, जैसे कि मतलब ऐसा लगा हो कि यार शिट, मतलब मुझे तो पता भी नहीं था कि कास्ट एज अ फोर्स इतनी बड़ी है। कभी कोई एक एक्टिविस्ट का शायद एक आर्टिकल पढ़ा हो, या कोई एक आपने इंटरव्यू लिया हो, या आपके जनरली पॉलिटिकल लाइफ में मतलब मेरे साथ तो थोड़ा ग्रेजुअली हुआ है, मेरे भी आपकी जैसी स्टोरी रही है, बट आई एम मोर क्यूरियस टू नो अबाउट यू।
There was no one incident as such. I once I started reading about it, I kept on reading. And then it almost became a daily habit to read about caste. There would be something or the other that I would read like almost on a daily basis. And I started understanding, and when I realized the domination of Brahmins, in all spheres of life, even now, that was something that took me by surprise. Uh, because you see that their numbers, they're just like 3% or something. But when you look at numbers, you'll see that they are 10 times their population share. And when you start reading about caste, or when you follow activists, you see them talking about Brahmins all the time, and talking about the domination, uh, their history of last 2000 years. And you probably think that this kind of criticism probably is unwarranted, because there are thousands of castes, and there is this graded hierarchy. So why are people singling out just one caste, right? So I used to also sometimes think initially, why is the focus only on Brahmins? But when I read the numbers, and read about the history of Brahmins, then I realized that you know how important or how relevant this criticism is.
हम्म। तो थोड़ा सा आई थिंक लेट्स इट्स टाइम टू मूव टू अ टॉपिक ऑफ द डे, ज्योतिराव फूले। तो आपने फूले को कब पढ़ा, और व्हाट वाज योर फर्स्ट इंप्रेशन ऑफ हिम?
So because I'm from Maharashtra, I knew about Phule, in school only. He is mentioned in the school textbooks, and he is a big figure in Maharashtra. Everybody knows about Jyotirao Phule and Savitribai Phule, but his own writings I read, only in the adulthood. And when I first picked up the book, it was in Marathi, and the language is from 19th century. And Phule does not write in Brahminical Marathi. He has his own way of writing. It's very, the dialect is the dialect of his own people. And because there's a distance of 100 years between what he wrote and, we reading now, I had a hard time following his language. But when I read, I was like, there was somebody in the 19th century, who was writing so eloquently and, taking on the problem head on. So that was, something that really grabbed my attention.
हाँ, यू आर राइट। इनफैक्ट जब मैंने भी उनको पढ़ा, और मेरे को भी ये रियलाइज हुआ कि यार 19 सेंचुरी में, मतलब इट वाज इट्स वे वे बैक, मतलब 147 150 इयर्स ऑलमोस्ट फ्रॉम टुडे, कि कैसे एक एक इंसान जिसके पास शायद इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग फॉर्मल एजुकेशन भी ना हो, आई थिंक वो बस एक एक हायर सेकेंडरी तक पढ़े थे, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग,
Yeah.
और उसके बाद उसके बावजूद भी उन्होंने जिन कॉन्सेप्ट्स को समझा और उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करा और उनके लिए जो खड़े हुए वो बहुत ही मेरे ख्याल से माइंड ब्लोइंग था वो कि कैसे हो सकता है मतलब आई केप्ट ऑन वंडरिंग एंड व्हेन आई वाज रीडिंग हिज बुक गुलामगिरी एंड आई वाज रीडिंग अबाउट हिम और मैं कुछ डीडी पे उनके वो पुराने शोज भी देख रहा था मतलब उनके बारे में जो डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज थी तो जब आप उनको पढ़ते हो तो आप रियली अंडरस्टैंड कि एक रिवॉल्यूशनरी ख्यालात क्या होते हैं कि जो समय से शायद वो 100-150 साल आगे रहते हैं और उस टाइम पे उनको कोई समझता नहीं है एंड पीपल ओनली रियलाइज देयर इम्पोर्टेंस आफ्टर अ सर्टेन पॉइंट इन टाइम आपको क्या लगता है
Yes, you're absolutely right. Phule, Phule, as you said, studied till seventh standard or something. I'm not very sure about that, but I think I'm right. That was also because education was a very new thing in India that time. Formal education where you have schools, people go to school every day. Uh, it was the colonial time, and there were not many colleges then. Bombay University did not exist, when Phule studied. Uh, but he went to a Scottish missionary school where he got friends who used to have lively discussions about all the topics under the sun. He was in Pune, and the atmosphere, around that time, there were like heated debates about all the issues. There were missionaries, there were other Europeans, British government, and also newly educated Indian intellectuals, and they discussed the pros and cons of Hinduism and things like that. But if you compare Phule with other intellectuals, from his era, you see how much difference there is between them and him. Because even though they were criticizing Hinduism or certain practices in Hinduism, such as sati, widows not being allowed to remarry, things like that, child marriage, they did criticize these practices, but their criticism did not go beyond that. But Phule was somebody who, you know, rejected Hinduism itself, and his criticism of the caste system was more radical than any other intellectual of his time.
वो कैसे फूले जो है वो एक बहुत ही एक ऐसे थिंकर थे जो कि ऑलमोस्ट अपने टाइम से 100-150 साल आगे थे और वो जिन कॉन्सेप्ट्स की बात कर रहे थे अनटचेबिलिटी और मतलब वो लिटरली दे ही वाज अटैकिंग द रूट्स ऑफ द कास्ट सिस्टम व्हाट डू यू थिंक
Yes, that is very much true. He did not just write, he also practiced what he wrote. And you see that if you look at his life from the very beginning. He wrote a lot about education, and he ran schools for many years. He also had hostels, and other things also. He spoke about women's issues, and he practiced that in his life. He did not have a child, and a lot of people, including his in-laws, asked him to remarry, but he refused, saying the problem could also be with the man, and if you are not allowing the woman to have a second husband, how can you allow a man to have a second wife?
Hmm.
He was that kind of a person, who practiced what he preached. And as you said, he attacked the roots of the caste system. He identified the problem very well. He, he spoke about the key issues, that make caste what caste is. He attacked Brahmins. He spoke about the autonomous leadership of non-Brahmins, what he called Shudras and Atishudras. He never used the word Hinduism or Hindu, and he never spoke about Varnas. If you look at the discussions around that time, there was Arya Samaj, which was recently formed, there was Brahmo Samaj. All of these people, they would talk about Varna system and how caste system was egalitarian in the ancient age, which later on became rigid and birth based, etc. But Phule never bought those ideas. He never spoke about Varnas. He did not believe in those ideas at all fundamentally, and therefore his division, was Brahmins on one side and Shudrati Shudras on the other side. You know, Marx was his contemporary. I don't think he would have read Marx because Marx wrote in German, and Indians would not have known Marx by that time. But if I have to, do this comparison, you'll see that even Fule's politics is dialectical. He spoke about these two classes, Brahmins on one side and Shudras, Ati Shudras on the other side, and how there is conflict between these two classes. One is the class that actually produces things, and the other one is, the class that depends on the production of this proletarian
Hmm.
class. So
Hmm.
I mean, you, I don't know if I should be comparing Fule and Marx, but you know, you can see those kind of similarities there.
हाँ, मतलब मैं समझ गया, जैसे उनने मार्क्स ने बुर्गोइस और लेबर क्लास को ऐसे दो 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 वर्ल्ड व्यू में देखा,
Yes.
तो इनने भी ब्राह्मण्स को और नॉन ब्राह्मण्स को एक एक अपने वर्ल्ड व्यू में देखा। तो आपने एक वो अच्छी बात बोली थी कि वो उस समय का जो ब्राह्मणिकल ऑर्डर था, तो उसके बारे में कुछ बताएंगे? बिकॉज ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है टच करना, बिकॉज टू फॉर लिसनर्स ऑल्सो एंड फॉर एनीबडी who wants to know about this topic कि वो ब्राह्मणिकल ऑर्डर जो चलते हुए आया है, वो क्या है, वो कैसा था 19th सेंचुरी में, और जिसको हम क्रिटिसाइज कर रहे हैं आज 2020 में बैठ के, तो व्हाट वाज द इश्यूज एंड यू नो areas of improvement around that time?
So Fuller, spoke about three, four key things. One thing that was very much close to his heart was education, and he said that all the money is being spent on higher education, and the government is completely neglecting the primary education. And he also said that the main beneficiaries of higher education are the Brahmins. They are the ones who are taking benefit of higher education, and then they get jobs in the government. And he says that because of that, Brahmins have monopolized all the positions of power, from Kulkarni to even judges. So that was like his one main criticism, representation, that Shudras, Atishudras are nowhere in the governance system. And he said that you need to start with the primary education, you need to give free universal education to all the masses so that they will be able to compete with Brahmins. If you focus on higher education, the Shudras, Atishudras never reach, that level. So you need to start with primary education. So we talked about the monopolization of Brahmins in positions of power. That was one key theme. Another was how Brahmins troubled the villagers. So there used to be Kulkarni at the village level at that time. And there used to be Patil, who used to be from a Shudra caste usually. But Phule said that all the control used to be in the hands of the Kulkarni because he was the educated person, he knew how to read and write, and therefore he could control the affairs of the village. And lot of times Kulkarni also used to be the money lender, you know, on whose money or on whose loans the peasants would be dependent. And there used to be abuse of power, by the Kulkarni at the village level. And if any villager went to any government official, there also you would come across Brahmins, and they would again, not solve their problems or rather take bribes, etc. So Fully talks about that as well. And another thing is the ideological domination of Brahmins. Brahmins controlled education traditionally. They did not allow people to learn Sanskrit, read Vedas, etc. And he said they wrote so many books which they spread in the society but all the books that they wrote, they were all regressive, full of fantasies and you know various kinds of myths. The sole purpose of all those myths was to dominate Shudras and Atishudras. So Fulle frontally attacked the Brahminical literature, and he said that if we want to progress, we will have to get rid of all these texts. So he frontally attacked the Brahminic ideology. So his attack on the caste system was from all sides. He was very keen to get Shudras educated because he felt that education is the only thing that will allow the lower castes to understand what the problem is and how to get out of the problem. And he talked about the monopolization of Brahmins materially as well as ideologically.
हाँ, मतलब वो एक सर्कल सा बन चुका था कि मतलब पहले ब्राह्मण्स और वो बार-बार ये वर्ड यूज़ करते हैं, सनातनी ब्राह्मण, ऑर्थोडॉक्स ब्राह्मण। मैंने उनके डॉक्यूमेंट्री में तो उन्होंने ऐसे ही डिपिक्शन करा है। तो वो एक मोनोपोलाइज़ेशन सा बन गया था कि ब्राह्मण्स आते थे, वो एजुकेट करते थे अपने और अपने बच्चों को, वही, और वो दे यूज्ड टू रिबेल एंड रिवोल्ट अगर कोई शूद्र और या अतिशूद्र वहाँ पे एजुकेशन लेने आता था, क्योंकि उन्होंने तो ऐसे-ऐसे रूल्स बना के रखे थे कि भई वेद जो हैं वो कानों तक नहीं पहुँच सकते शूद्र अतिशूद्र के। मतलब सुन भी नहीं सकते वो शूद्र अतिशूद्र तो वेदों को। तो मतलब एक एजुकेशन तो बहुत दूर की बात है। तो अ, फिर वो मेरे ख्याल से, और फिर ब्राह्मण बच्चे वही आगे जाके सरकारी नौकरियों में जाते थे, और ऑब्वियसली इंडस्ट्रियल तो कुछ था नहीं हमारे देश में, तो सब कुछ सरकार की नौकरी के भरोसे चलता था, या आप जो खेती किसानी कर रहे हो वो होता था। और फिर एंड देन वो चक्र चलता रहता था, क्योंकि वो जातिवाद जो था वो उन बच्चों में भी आ जाता था, और या दूसरे पुलिस के अफसर हो गए या कुछ भी हो गए या एनी एनी अदर ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हो गए, तो उनमें भी वो जातिवाद था। तो मेरे ख्याल से ऑलमोस्ट ही सोसाइटी से ऑलमोस्ट कट से गए थे शूद्र और अतिशूद्र। इज दैट ट्रू, राइट?
Yes, yes, it's absolutely true. So when he talks about education, he also says that there is a need for Shudra and Atishudra teachers, because what happens is that the Brahmin teachers don't even let Atishudra students to sit in the class because of untouchability. And
हम्म।
the Shudra students also, there is a prejudice in the minds of Brahmins and they don't teach them well, or if they do something wrong, the punishment is very harsh, which dissuades the Shudra students from taking education. So he feels that if Shudra Shudra students have to learn properly, there is a need of teachers from their own castes. That is the point that Fule stresses a lot. And he says that the payment that the teachers get, that needs to be increased. And he says the education has to be universal. The government should make every student go to school and learn.
हम्म। हाँ, मतलब कितना वियर्ड लगता है ना वैसे आज की तारीख में बैठ के सोच ले कि एक एजुकेशन सिस्टम अगर आए और वो बोले कि नहीं, मैं तो सिर्फ ब्राह्मण को लूंगा और मैं बाकी तो किसी को लूंगा नहीं, और लूंगा भी तो क्लास में बाहर की तरफ बिठाऊंगा, और अगर वो कोई गलती करेंगे तो एक डबल पनिशमेंट दूंगा। मतलब दिस इज सो बिजार। और वो वहाँ पे वो एक रेगुलर प्रैक्टिस थी, मतलब वो बहुत नॉर्मलाइज कल्चर था उस टाइम पे कि भाई वहाँ पे तो उस टाइम पे ऐसे ही होते आया है। आई थिंक दिस ब्रिंग्स मी टू माई नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, एंड दिस इज लाइक, मैंने जब ये चीज़ पढ़ी और मैं फैन हो गया फूले का। मैंने बोला 1848 में वो एक स्कूल खोलते हैं शूद्र गर्ल्स के लिए। ये थॉट प्रोसेस क्या थी, ये बताओ मुझे थोड़ा सा, एंड लेट्स टॉक अबाउट द स्कूल।
Yes, it was quite radical for that time, because Fule was really young when he opened this school. He opened the school with his wife, Savitribai Phule, who also played a major role in all these activities that Phule took up. So they opened a school in 1848, and the first school was for girls. So you can understand Fule's thought process, that he always cared about the most neglected sections of the society. So he's opened a school for girls first in 1848, and then the next school that he opened was for Mahars and Mangs, who are the Dalit caste from Maharashtra. So the next section that he focused on was Dalits. So you can see, how radical Phule was. Uh, Society, did not even want to come in contact with Dalits that time. The untouchability was so strong, and there were so many sanctions if people broke those codes. Phule went against everybody, including his own father. His father said that if you continue running these schools, I will kick you out of the house. But Phule and his wife Savitribai did not budge, and eventually they were kicked out of the house. You know, they started living on their own, but they did not give up the work that they had taken up. They ran these schools for many years, and the syllabus that they taught in these schools was very modern. You mentioned that Vedas were not allowed to be taught to Shudras, Atishudras. Sanskrit was banned, but Phule did not say, okay, now it's British government and we can do these things. So let's go to that traditional way of learning. But Phule completely rejected all those things. He never taught Sanskrit literature in the class. He completely rejected Brahminic syllabus, and all the things that he taught in the school were modern. 3 R's: arithmetic, writing, reading, etc., and science, geography, history, those kind of things. If you look at the syllabus that Phule had framed, you'll see how modern that was. So Phule's thought process was always, imbued with these modernist ideas. And you can see that from the very beginning, from his early years, and that continued for rest of his life.
और ये जैसे कि हमारा एस्टिमेशन है कि शायद 7th 8th तक पढ़े हैं फुले, और उसमें उसके बावजूद भी वो इतना अच्छा कमांड उनका था ऑन ऑन माइथोलॉजी, ऑन साइंस, ऑन अरिथमेटिक। ये कैसे बना? ये वाज देयर एन एक्सेस ऑफ सम सॉर्ट ऑफ अ लाइब्रेरी टू हिम, या ऐसा हुआ कि उनके जो दूसरे ब्राह्मण दोस्त थे वो सपोर्ट करते थे उनको?
So Phule first went to Marathi medium school, but he had to leave that school because the Brahmin club that the family had, he advised that he is from a Shudra caste and he should not take education. So his father asked him to leave the school. But then there were two other people, one European and one Muslim person. They encouraged his father to send Phule to a Scottish missionary school, and that is where Phule's thought process evolved. That is where he learned the things that stayed with him for rest of his life. The friends that he got there, he used to get into discussions with them. They also supported him later in when he opened the schools. And Phule learned English there. He started reading, and he was a voracious reader. Phule was from a Mali, which is a gardener's caste from Maharashtra, but he was from a well-to-do family. Uh, if you compare it with rest of the Shudra caste.
तो थोड़ा बेटर थे।
Yeah, yeah,
थोड़ा
yeah.
बेटर, थोड़ा बेटर थे।
Yeah, yeah. So, they used to sell flowers to Peshwas when there was Peshwa power in Pune, and they had earned some money because of that. And they were also given land by the Peshwas, and therefore Phule was from a slightly well-to-do family. And after school also he kept reading. If you read the preface of Gulamgiri, which he called Slavery in English, if you read the preface of that book, you'll see that the first sentence is a citation by Homer. He also cites Shakespeare later on, and he also had read all the authors who were writing in 18th century and early 19th century. So you see that Phule was up to date with all the literature, around history, mythology, and these kind of subjects. And he was also in constant discussions with other intellectuals from that time. I think he knew R.G. Bhandarkar, who is like the earliest historian from India, a well known historian. he was friends with other intellectuals from Pune from that era as well. Mahadev Govind Ranade, for example, was his friend, and they would visit each other often.
रानाडे से उनके वो मिलते रहते हैं।
Yes.
हाँ।
So you can see that, Phule was part of the public sphere in Pune, of that time, and he was well versed in all the debates that were happening in that time in Marathi as well as English. Because Phule was bilingual, he could, traverse both the public spheres, Marathi as well as English.
बाइलिंगुअल के नाम पे थोड़ा-सा हम भी हिंदी में स्विच करें तेजस अब।
हाँ, हाँ, ज़रूर।
तो एक बात बताइए, क्या ब्राह्मण समाज ने उन पे किस तरीके से अटैक करा जब उन्होंने वो स्कूल खोला? क्योंकि तो बहुत रेडिकल हो गए। एक तो आप शूद्रों के लिए स्कूल खोल रहे हो, फिर आप लड़कियों के लिए स्कूल खोल रहे हो, फिर आप इंश्योर कर रहे हो कि भाई दिस इज लाइक अगेंस्ट द नो स्ट्रिक्ट नो इन द ब्राह्मणिकल ऑर्डर।
हाँ, लेकिन उन्होंने पहला स्कूल खुला महिलाओं के लिए एंड यू नो दैट Brahmin women also were not allowed to take education and the ones who had started taking education they were privately educated. So Brahmins would not send their girls to schools. They would hire a private tutor for them. And therefore, Phule studying a school for girls where I think even Brahmin women went there. Brahmins of Pune did not like that, and they were even more. They got more angry when he started schools for Dalits. That was a complete no-no in that time. So that is something that really enraged Brahmins and also actually not just Brahmins, also his own caste people, Phule's own caste people, because he was from a Shudra family who also looked down upon Ati Shudras or Dalits in our current terminology. So he faced a lot of resistance for that. The society was really orthodox. The caste system was very strong, and these kind of things, you just could not do. But Phule, being a radical, he did not listen to anybody. He did not back down, and you see that in the 1860s, he also opened a well for Dalits. So
कुएं से पानी पीना अलाउड नहीं था दलित्स को।
yeah, like Dalits were not allowed to drink water from the places where rest of the society also drank water. But Phule did not believe in these ideas at all. He was a radical, in the true sense of the word. And if you look at his life, you take any decade, 1850s, 60s, 70s, you will find these kind of radical acts throughout his life.
हाँ, हाँ, आप सही कह रहे हो। मतलब ही वाज़ ट्रूली ट्रूली अ रेडिकल। मतलब एक तो ब्राह्मणिकल ऑर्डर के ऊपर लिखना, टेक्स्ट लिखना, फिर ये स्कूल्स शुरू करना और फिर मतलब एक-एक करके उन उन सिस्टम्स को चैलेंज करना। अच्छा, मैं कहीं पढ़ रहा था कि उनका सावित्रीबाई फुले पे पत्थर फेंके गए थे जब उन्होंने स्कूल शुरू करा था और वो स्कूल में पढ़ाने जाती थी। तो वो आई थिंक दैट वाज़ आल्सो वन इंसिडेंट दैट हैपेंड। एंड वो ब्राह्मण बॉयज थ्रू स्टोन्स एट हर।
Yes, because she's a woman who has taken education herself. Not just that, she's also teaching now, and the schools that she teaches in are for girls and Dalits. So if you combine all these things, it's not surprising that people did not like it, and they tried to create lot of obstacles in their way. But Savitribai Phule also was a radical, and she did not back down at all. She also stood up for herself and for the things that they were doing.
हम्म, एब्सोल्युटली। अच्छा, एक जो इंटरेस्टिंग बात है कि उनको फूले कपल को सिर्फ ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ ब्राह्मण समाज से गाली पड़ी, उनको अपने समाज से भी गाली पड़ी। मतलब उनकी अपनी कास्ट से भी गाली पड़ी उनको। उनको एंड इनफैक्ट आई थिंक देयर वर मेनी मेनी पीपल फ्रॉम द शूद्र कम्युनिटी हु आर लाइक यार तुम ये क्यों कर रहे हो। तो ये बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है कि मतलब कास्ट सिस्टम और वर्ण व्यवस्था का जो ये जो सेटअप होता है, जिसमें जो 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 ऑपरेसर है, वो तो स्टेटस को चैलेंज नहीं करने देता है, बट जो ऑपरेस्ड हो रहा है वो भी, उसको भी ये लगता है कि भाई ये सही है.
Yeah, that is true because people look at these things as fact of life, you know, and they never question it. They are like, things are like this only, and we have to live like this only. And if there is somebody who suddenly challenges their notions, their beliefs, their first reaction is to dismiss that person, you know. So that also what happened to Fule. As I said, his own father kicked him out. I don't know if his father actually wanted to kick him out, but then the pressure was so much on him from society that he had to do it. So so that's the thing, uh, society is very slow to change. It does not change, unless somebody really work towards it. People do not change, things do not change, and that is also what we observe about Fule.
हम्म. एक हम अभी थोड़ी देर पहले अनटचेबिलिटी की बात कर रहे थे, तो मैं एक लाइन कोट करूंगा उनकी ट्रांसलेटेड गुलामगिरी से. एक दो लाइन है इन इंग्लिश ओनली. If a Bhat Sahib were to come along from the opposite direction, the Shudra had to stop by the road until such time as the Bhat Sahib passed by, for fear of casting his polluting shadow on him. He was free to proceed further only after the Bhat Sahib has passed by him. Should the Shudra be unlucky enough to cast his polluting shadow on a Bhat, inadvertently the Bhat used to belabor him mercilessly and would go to bathe at the river to wash off the pollution. The Shudras were forbidden even to spit in the streets. मतलब उसकी शैडो भी पड़ गई अगर किसी ब्राह्मण के ऊपर, तो मतलब ब्राह्मण अपने आप को अछूत मान लेते थे. और उसके बाद वो ऑन कॉन्ट्ररी दे वुड नॉट हेजिटेट टू इवन बीट द शूद्र. वो उनको जान से भी मार सकते थे और उन पे कोई प्रोसिक्यूशन नहीं होता था. और इट वुड जस्ट बी वेरी नॉर्मलाइज. मतलब ये तो आई मेरे को समझ नहीं आया कि मैं इस बात इसका क्या मैं हाउ व्हाट विल बी माय रिस्पांस टू दिस.
Yeah, like in Peshwa's time, uh, Dalits had to carry a broom so that they would sweep the way that they were walking on, you know, and there used to be a pot tied to their neck, apparently, in which only they could spit, not in public. So those kind of restrictions on the list have been there from a really long time. It's not something that that happened in 19th century or 18th century. If you read the Dharma Shastras of Brahmins, you'll see these kind of rules mentioned in those also. So the word that was used for Dalits, in those texts was Chandal. So you will see that there were these kind of rules for Chandals in those texts, and they were also practiced. So it was not just theory. I forget which foreign traveler who has written about it. Uh, so there is mention that this was practiced, I think, in the kingdom of King Harshavardhan, who was from, if I'm not wrong, from 7th century. So you'll see that there is a big continuity, you know, and that's the thing that really stuns me, that all these rules were in practice for so many centuries, and they continued until the modern era. I think about this and it just stumps me, like, so you can see the kind of power that Brahmins held in Indian society, and for such a long time.
एब्सोल्युटली. मतलब बहुत ही लंबे समय तक ये सब प्रैक्टिसेस, मतलब हमने लिटरली अनटचेबिलिटी तो अभी 70 साल पहले अबॉलिश करी है. 70 साल एक लंबी हिस्ट्री में कुछ भी नहीं होता.
Yeah, there was a survey recently which said that entrepreneurship is still practiced in India at a very big scale. I forget the exact number, but the it was somewhere around 55 to 60% people.
बाप रे।
They practice untouchability in India still.
ये जो एक एक बात सुन के जो मुझे थोड़ा सा अच्छा लगा था कि उस टाइम पे भी लोग फूले को देशद्रोही और धर्म विरोधी कहते हैं, तो मतलब मुझे मेरे मेरे चेहरे पे थोड़ी स्माइल आ गई थी जब मैंने ये पढ़ा था या सुना था मैंने शायद कहीं पे।
Yeah, yeah. Some of these epithets are really old. You know, if you don't have a proper response or criticism, you start labeling people, and that is what happened to Phule as well. The one label that was used for Phule a lot was he was Christian. You know,
हाँ।
people would say that he has converted to Christianity, and that is why he is attacking the caste system. He's attacking the Hinduism. But the fact is, Fuller never converted to Christianity. You know, he did criticize Hinduism, and he did use positive words for Jesus Christ. But he, also praised Prophet Muhammad and Buddha. So,
हम्म।
uh, so this label was completely false, but people did use it for him, and he often would praise the British government as well. Those were the early times, and he was really happy that the Peshwa rule had ended and the modern era of modernity had started. Shudra Atishudra had finally started getting education, and there was some opening up in the society. Therefore, Fule would say that this is a time for you to take the maximum benefit of the opening of the social spheres, and that is why he would often praise the British government. But a lot of people would, call him anti-national for that. Actually, a lot of this, some of this criticism, was imposed on him in the later era. So there is a famous case of from 1925 when non-Brahmin leaders in Pune assembly said that there should be a statue of Phule in the uh, assembly premises, but a lot of the members of the assembly opposed it, and the Brahmins in Pune started attacking Phule that year. And the first attack was that Phule was Christian, you know. So, and the second, that because nationalism was at a very, high level in 1925, he was also called anti-national.
हम्म। ये अच्छा, ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है कि फूले ने कभी हिंदुइज्म नहीं बोला उसको, उसको हमेशा ब्राह्मणवाद बोला या ब्राह्मणिकल ऑर्डर बोला, या उन्होंने ये कहा कि ये तो ब्राह्मण की करे हुए रीति रिवाज है, या हिंदुइज्म नहीं है। तो इससे मेरे दो प्रश्न बनते हैं कि एक तो क्या वहां पे ये बाकी ये व्यू पॉइंट बाकी लोग भी शेयर करने लगे थे इवेंचुअली कि ये ब्राह्मणिज्म है, और दूसरा अगर वो ब्राह्मणिज्म, चलो अगर हम मान भी ले फॉर द सेक ऑफ आर्ग्यूमेंट कि वो ब्राह्मणिज्म है, तो व्हाट वर देयर ट्रेडिशंस, लाइक शूद्र अतिशूद्र के ट्रेडिशंस क्या थे ऐसे, क्या कहीं पे ये चर्चा है?
So, if you look at the history of the word Hinduism itself, it was a very new word for 19th century, to be frank. It was used by Raja Ram Mohan Roy a few times, and otherwise by Europeans, actually. It wasn't a very common word, but the fact also is that it was very much around when Phule was writing. Phule was writing in 1870s, and by that time, a lot of the Europeans had started using the word Hinduism for the religion of people. But Phule never used that word. Your question, if Brahminism was accepted as a term, the thing is that Brahminism is an older term, actually, not Hinduism. The idea of Varna system, was very much clear in people's head that there are four Varnas, and out of those four, the there is a separation again, top three and the Shudra, right? And in the top three, Brahmins are at the very top. So that kind of division was familiar to people, and that division kept Brahmins at the top, right? So using the words like Brahmins, Brahminism, it's not surprising. But I feel that fully not using the word Hinduism was also tactical. You know, if you are using words like Christianity, Islam, so in opposition to them, you have to use a word like Hinduism, right? But Phule never did that because his idea of religion was totally different. I do not think he ever believed in organized religion, you know. And
Hmm.
therefore, I say this because the last book that he wrote, Sarvajanik Satya Dharma Pustak, in that he talks about a lot of the practices that people should follow and should not follow, and how religion should be. He said that truth is what should be the basis of people's behavior or the religion that they follow. We associate the term truth with Gandhi, but if if you look at the chronology, Phule had stressed on truth in the 19th century itself. When Gandhi was growing up, his organization was called Satyashuddhak Samaj, Truth Seeker Society. So coming back to the question of religion, Phule, I think, did not use the word Hinduism intentionally because his main purpose was to show the domination of Brahmins and move people away from the Brahminical traditions.
हाँ, आप बता रहे थे तेजस, कुछ उन्होंने धर्म के बारे में आगे चल के लिखा था, वो क्या लिखा था, वो कैन यू रिपीट?
So he wrote this book called Sarvajanik Satya Dharma Pustak. It was published posthumously actually. His son published this book after his death. He died in 1890 and the book was published in 1891. And he wrote this book when he had a paralysis and he could not use his right hand. So he wrote the whole book with his left hand. So this book basically speaks about religion, and he it's also a sort of a handbook where how a wedding should be conducted, how other ceremonies from people's lives which are important they should be conducted. So he wanted people to move away from Brahminical traditions, Brahminical rituals, and that is why this book was sort of handbook for those people. And he also wrote about his idea of religion. What a religion is. He was a monotheist and he believed in a creator god. So he spoke about something called as Nirmik. So Nirmik basically was the creator, the entity that created this world, which is the entity which is formless, and therefore you should not have idol worship because you do not know how this Nirmik looks like, right? So that was his idea of the creator. He did not believe in idol worship at all. Uh, and uh, he was a monotheist. So this book is basically about all these things.
हम्म। और फूले का आइडिया कितना मतलब, जैसे एक जो लाइन में कोट करा उससे पता चलता है कि फूले कितना आगे का सोचते थे कि गॉड हैज ग्रांटेड द फ्रीडम टू ऑल पीपल इंक्लूडिंग द डिप्रेस्ड एंड डाउन ट्रोडन टू एंजॉय इक्विटेबली ऑल थिंग्स क्रिएटेड ऑन अर्थ, animate and inanimate, but the Bhatt authors have concocted spurious tracts in the name of God, dispossessed the common people for their legitimate right, and assumed preeminent place for themselves. So essentially, in he's saying that God has created everyone equal, and ये आइडिया जो है ये मतलब बहुत नया है। मतलब ये पिछले मेरे को आई थिंक इन वर्ल्ड ऑल्सो दिस इज अ वेरी रिलेटिवली अ वेरी न्यू आइडिया, बट समवन जो कि पूना में रह के ये इस आइडिया को सोच सकते हैं, कि भाई हम सब भगवान के बच्चे हैं और हम सबको बराबर बनाया गया है, और जो भी तुम किताबें पढ़ रहे हो ये कुछ लोगों ने बनाई हैं अपनी कन्वीनियंस के हिसाब से, और अपने 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 डोमिनेंस मेंटेन करने के लिए। तो विच ब्रिंग्स मी टू दिस सेकंड क्वेश्चन, कि जो फूले की थ्योरी है कि Brahmins were the Aryans, and Aryans, and then and then he keeps on going and going, and he talks about कि कैसे उन्होंने Brahmins created this whole वेदास बनाए और स्क्रिप्चर्स बनाए और उन्होंने कहानियां लिखी और ग्रंथ लिखे टू सूट देयर नैरेटिव, और उन्होंने जो नेटिव ट्रेडिशंस थे उन ट्रेडिशंस को खत्म कर दिया, और जो नेटिव्स थे उनको उन्होंने बेसिकली शूद्र अतिशूद्र का दर्जा दे दिया, और खुद एक हायर पोजीशन पे चले गए। तो व्हाट इज योर सेंस अबाउट इट? डू यू थिंक दिस इज अ प्लॉजिबल थ्योरी? डू यू थिंक इट मेक्स सेंस? और व्हाट डू यू मेक ऑफ इट? डू यू बिलीव इन इट?
As I said, Fuller was very well read, and in the preface to Slavery, where he mentions his theory, he cites this ethnologist called James Cowles Pritchard, and the Aryan migration theory, is what is now it is called. The Aryan invasion theory has been discarded, but there is scholarly consensus that Aryans were not indigenous to Indian subcontinent. They came from Middle East. Their roots were outside. So that theory that Fule spoke about has stood the ground of time. You know, so you can see that what Pule was writing, it was not just out of thin air. There was a very good basis to what he said. And then he goes on talking about the domination by Aryans of the indigenous tribes. Now, the details about that, it's very difficult to talk about that period because we do not have much evidence. The evidence is the Vedas, which were orally composed. They were not written down. And the archaeological evidence also is sparse. So, creating a picture or imagining a picture of society, of that time is very hard for historians even now. We are talking about the time, 1500 BC. That is when Aryans are supposed to have migrated to Indian subcontinent to the Punjab area, Indian Punjab as well as Pakistani Punjab. That is the region where the Rig Veda was composed, right? So it is very hard, but the other things that Fuller talks about, that Brahmins who were Aryans originally, they wrote all these texts. They created this whole universe of mythology, and they used that mythology to subjugate non-Aryans. Those things are true. The scholars, the historians of the contemporary era also agree with that. And so when Fuller was writing, the work was happening mainly on the text because uh, numismatics or archaeology were not well advanced, in 1870s or 1880s. So the main focus used to be on texts, Sanskrit texts mainly, and that is also the focus of Fule. And he reads those texts and turns on their head. So these texts, have been used by Brahmins historically to subjugate Shudras, Atishudras, but Fuller uses the same text to show how Brahmins have usurped power and subjugated the lower castes. The methods that he used, they can be questioned. The whole mythology bit that Fuller writes about in Gulamgiri and the way he reads myths. The science of mythology has advanced now, and if Fuller were writing now in 2020, he would write much differently. But he had constraints of time, writing in 1870s. As I said, the the field of archaeology, numismatics, epigraphy, these kind of things were, in their very early stages. And therefore, Fuller had to use the material that was available to him, and he used that material the best way that he could. And he showed how Brahmins had dominated Shudra, Atishudra communities over centuries. So the key themes that he talks about, Aryan migration, the writing of texts in Sanskrit, and using those texts to create this Brahminical ideology, which later could be used to subjugate Shudras, Atishudras. So all those key themes, Fuller got them very correctly. He was very apt on those points.
हम्म। अच्छा, मतलब इन स्पिरिट तो वो सही बात बोल रहे थे। वो शायद उसके उस टाइम पे इतने इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स और रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल नहीं थे, तो शायद इतनी अथॉरिटी से शायद ना बोल पाए हो, या इतने रिसोर्सेज को शायद वो साइट ना कर पाए हो। बट अगर वो आज होते तो वो आज और अथॉरिटी और रिसोर्सेज से शायद वो डिडक्शंस बना सकते थे अपने।
Yes.
ओके। तो हाँ, एंड लाइक ही रियली गोज बलिस्टिक, मतलब वो विष्णु के एक-एक अवतार को पकड़ते हैं जो उनकी बुक है गुलामगिरी, और उसमें वो ब्राह्मणिकल डोमिनेंस को दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं। दैट इज़ लाइक थोड़ा-सा, मतलब दैट इज़ अनबिलीवेबल, मतलब वो कर पाना उस टाइम पे, और लाइक एंड ऑल्सो टू सर्वाइव। व्हाट डू यू थिंक, लाइक एंड आई एम श्योर आपने तो पढ़ा ही होगा कि वो जो उनने जो एक-एक चैप्टर्स लिखे हुए हैं। व्हाट इज़ योर वन ऑफ द फेवरेट क्रिटिसिज्म? डू यू हैव एनी?
So Fulle was writing for Shudra masses. That is why he wrote in Marathi, and that also Marathi, which was closer to people. He did not write in Sanskritic Marathi at all. He was actually ridiculed for it. One Brahmin commentator of that time called Vishnu Shastri Chiplinkar, he faulted Phule for his language and his grammar, saying that this fool does not even know grammar. That was his criticism. But Fuller did that very intentionally. As I said, he was very well read, he was well educated. So if he wanted, he could have written in really ornamental Sanskritic language. But his main goal was to educate the masses, to educate his own people. And that is why he chose the language that he chose, and that is why the form that he chose. His book Gulamgiri is in a conversational form. It is in the
Hmm.
form of questions and answers. And I feel Fulle did that because that is a very effective way of conveying his thoughts. And this is 19th century, all the Brahminic ideology and all the Brahminic mythology, people were engrossed in that. People used to believe that as truth, right? And therefore Fulle had to question that. And because people were believing it as true, Brahmins were saying this is history. What Fulle did was he also took all the myths literally, but ripped them apart. He
Hmm.
showed
Hmm.
them how illogical they were, and this could not be true. Like a Brahmin coming from the mouth of Brahma, how is that possible? If four classes, four varnas originated from the body parts of the Brahma, does it mean that he had four reproductive organs? So
Hmm.
what Fuller does is he applies a very rationalist lens to the myths. He had to do it because they were considered history by the Brahmins of that time, and sometimes even by Shudras, Atishudras. And that is why he attacked them frontally. you know and as I said, the he knew about Aryan migration, and he used these myths to talk about that theory. Now that theory is historically true, right? Brahmins did migrate to Indian subcontinent, and they did colonize the local people here, and Fuller used the texts of Brahmins themselves to extend that theory, you know, and give it a sort of a complete picture. So that is what he does in Gulamgiri. But for me, the most important chapter is the 10th chapter, where he gives a very brief snapshot of Indian history. He talks about Aryan migration, and then he comes to Buddhism as well. He said that Buddhism was the first attack on the Brahminical system. He mentions Lord Buddha. So you will see that Phule had a good grasp on history. A lot of people tend to dismiss Phule by reading the book Slavery, saying that he read the myths literally, when it is obvious that they were myths, and you cannot read history into it. But if you keep a broad mind, and if you see what Fulle was trying to do, and if you read, his other statements in other chapters or in the preface, you'll see that he did know what the history was. He had a very good grasp on the history, but he had to use the myths because those myths were prevalent in the Shudra society. Everybody was aware of 10 avatars. If you even if you don't know other myths, everybody in India knows the 10 avatars of Vishnu, right? And that is why Phule chose those myths to show the Aryan and later Brahminic domination, and how Brahmins were fooling the society.
बहुत ही बोल्ड, मतलब बहुत बोल्ड, बहुत टैक्टिकल, बहुत पॉलिटिकल, बहुत स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑल्सो, कि मतलब जिन मिथ्स को सालों सालों से यूज करके आज के कास्ट बेस्ड ऑपरेशन को लेजिटिमाइज करा जाता है, या जिस व्यवस्था को एक हिस्ट्री का नाम देके लेजिटिमाइज करा जाता है, उसके रूट्स पे अटैक करना काफी काफी इंजीनियस था, मतलब आई वुड से.
Yeah, it is. So when Fuller used to send his writings to publications, lot of publications would reject them, saying that what you are writing, you are attacking Brahmins. How can you do it? Uh, it was so because all these periodicals were owned by Brahmins. It was the Brahmin intellectuals who were running them, and they would obviously not like any attack on their own community. And therefore Fuller had to either give his writings to missionary publications. There were a few missionary publications, and or publish his works himself. So Gulamgiri or Slavery was published by Fuller himself. Some of his other writings were published by some missionary periodicals, but he often faced rejection by Brahminical press.
अम, और एक जो बहुत ही एक थोड़ा सा डाइग्रेस कर रहा हूँ मैं, एकदम मुझे याद आया कि जो मेरे को सबसे खास बात लगी उनकी, कि हाउ ही कंपेयर्ड द स्ट्रगल ऑफ दलित शूद्रस अतिशूद्रस विद ब्लैक्स इन अमेरिका. और उन्होंने अपनी बुक को डेडिकेट भी करा है शायद एट द स्टार्टिंग, कि ये जो ब्लैक्स के स्ट्रगल को मैं डेडिकेट करता हूँ, और उनका जो स्ट्रगल चलते आया है इतने सालों से स्लेवरी का, मैं उसको उसके रिस्पॉन्स में एक तरीके से बुक लिखता हूँ, और मैं उसको उनके जज्बे को सलाम करता हूँ. तो मैं ये सोच रहा था कि एक तो स्लेवरी के बारे में पता रखना, अवेयरनेस रखना 1870s में, फिर अवेयरनेस रखने के साथ साथ मतलब समझना भी कि स्लेवरी गलत है, मतलब स्लेवरी तो नॉर्मलाइज थी वहाँ पे, और फिर उसको एक भारतीय किताब में इनकॉर्पोरेट करना. मेरे को पता नहीं, आई डोंट नो मच, बट आई डोंट थिंक स्लेवरी का और कोई इससे पुराना रेफरेंस है अपने पास, मतलब होगा आई एम श्योर, बट आई डो नॉट नो एनीथिंग अबाउट इट.
Actually, I also, have not come across any Indian intellectual who has made this connection in the 19th century. There could be, but I am not aware of it. As I said, Fuller was much ahead of his time, and he was a true radical, and therefore he could immediately see the connection between these two systems, and he drew this comparison. He was very influenced by this philosopher called Thomas Paine, And Thomas Paine, worked in United States, and that could be the reason that Phule was well aware of the black struggle in the US, and also that he took keen interest in it and drew comparisons.
हम्म, तो हम्म, तो 1870 वाला दशक हो गया एंड यू नो नेक्स्ट नेक्स्ट व्हाट वाज द नेक्स्ट थिंग मतलब ही डिड द स्ट्रगल फॉर द एंटी कास्ट मूवमेंट टिल ऑलमोस्ट दिस लास्ट बट और क्या हुआ मतलब स्कूल्स बन गए उन्होंने किताबें लिखी इज देयर एनीथिंग एल्स दैट वी शुड नो अबाउट हिम आफ्टर स्पेशली इन हिज लास्ट 20-25 years.
One thing that is really important is the Satyashodak Samaj, the group that he formed in 1873 only, after the publication of Gulamgiri. Gulamgiri was published in June, and this group came up in September. So he gathered all the Shudra, Atishudra activists and other intellectuals from that time. He brought them all under one umbrella, and he started this, uh, probably the first Indian organization that was explicitly against the caste system and was also led by Shudra Atishudra leaders. This organization later on gave birth to a whole movement. It Satyashodak Samaj became Satyashodak movement, which later became non-Brahmin movement in Maharashtra. So the contribution of this organization is phenomenal in the history of the anti-caste struggle in not just Maharashtra but also India, because Phule was probably the earliest reformer who tirelessly worked against the caste system.
थोड़ा सा सत्यशोधक समाज के और थोड़ा सा डेप्थ में बताएंगे कि उनके प्रैक्टिसेस क्या थे, एम्स ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या थे, व्हाट वर दे वांटेड टू अचीव.
So the group members used to meet every week, and they would discuss a lot of things. And their main aim was to educate the Shudra Ati Shudra masses, and another was to work towards ending the domination of Brahmins. And that is why when somebody wanted to become a member of the group, they had to take the oath that they will not call the Brahmin for any of the ceremonies. So they clearly said that you cannot have a Brahmin priest for your wedding or any of the other rituals. They actually carried out lot of Satyashodak marriages, which were without Brahmin priest, without Brahminical rituals, and without the Mangalastakas, that are sung usually. Phule actually wrote his own verses, which were not sung by any priest but by the bride and bridegroom themselves. And if you read those verses, you will see how egalitarian they are. You know, Phule had a acute awareness of subjugation of women as well, and therefore in his writings, in his practice, you also see how much he cared about women's rights. So, you know, marriages without Brahmins also was a big thing, and they ran some schools. Krishnarao Bhalekar was a main leader in the organization. He ran some schools. Phule, Bhalekar, and others ran hostels. One leader uh, started a labor movement in Bombay. The organization was in Pune, that was the center of it, but it was spread in the rest of Maharashtra as well. It was very strong in Bombay as well. And Narayan Meghaji Lokhande, who was a leader from Bombay, he started a labor movement in Bombay. So you see that Phule started this organization, and a lot of leaders joined him who started working in their own way later on, and it became a movement eventually.
आज भी सत्यशोधक समाज है, या अभी इट इज नो मोर?
Satyashodak Samaj, the original organization, has died, but a lot of people use the word Satyashodak and they have their own organizations, and they consider Fule's philosophy as a basis of their organization. So the organization, the original organization, does not exist anymore. Uh, it did exist in Shahu Maharaj's time, that is the early 20th century, but eventually it died down because of historical reasons. But the movement as such, Satyashodak movement, does exist still.
आपकी भी वेबसाइट का नाम द सत्यशोधक ही है?
यस, मैंने अभी अभी वेबसाइट शुरू किया है एंड उसका नाम मैंने सत्यशोधक रखा बिकॉज द नेम itself it's so nice, Satyashodhak, truth seekers,
ट्रूथ
right?
सीकर।
And Fule's philosophy, as I said, was way ahead of his times. And if you read him even now, after so many years, you would not feel like you are reading something that is dated, you know. So therefore, there is, still relevance to his thoughts.
नहीं, ऑफ कोर्स, मतलब टिल टुडे, एंड आई थिंक फॉर इवन फॉर कमिंग जनरेशंस टू कम, मतलब आज भी लड़कियों की एजुकेशन तो प्रॉब्लम ही है ना इस देश में। आज भी दलित समाज में भी लड़कियों की एजुकेशन, और दलित समाज में भी जनरल एजुकेशन प्रॉब्लम है, और वो उस ज़माने से बात करते हुए आ रहे हैं। तो मतलब, और इक्वालिटी का जो एक स्ट्रगल चलते आ रहा है आज के दौर तक, जो जिसको अचीव करने के लिए हर तरीके के नियम कानून भी बनाए जाते हैं, बट वो बेसिक सेंस ऑफ जो सुपीरियॉरिटी है अपर कास्ट की हमारे समाज में, वो तो अभी भी बरकरार है ही। और जो जो शोषण हो रहा है या होते आ रहा है, तो मतलब बिल्कुल, मतलब मेरे को 110% लगता है कि वो आज भी इन 2020 हम दो लोग मिलके महात्मा फूले की बात कर रहे हैं। दैट इट सेल्फ इज सच अ बिग टेस्टमेंट that how relevant his ideologies and philosophies are even today, and why he is what he is. And बट हाँ, इन बिटवीन ऑल द स्टेजेस हम थोड़ा सा इनजस्टिस हो जाएगा अगर हम सावित्री बाई फुले की बात नहीं करेंगे तो, इन बिटवीन ऑल ऑफ दिस। तो लेट जस्ट स्पेंड सम मिनट्स बिफोर वी कंक्लूड, तो लाइक लेट्स टॉक अबाउट हर और उनके कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस की थोड़ी बात करते हैं। एंड लाइक हम थोड़ा सिर्फ उन पे ही फोकस करते हैं कि वो, एंड मैंने क्योंकि क्योंकि उनकी बुक पढ़ी गुलामगिरी, और उसमें तो उनका जिक्र नहीं है। तो बस मुझे उनका ये ज़िक्र यहाँ तक का पता है कि वो उन्होंने स्कूल चलाने में शी वाज़ वेरी फॉरवर्ड, एंड वो स्कूल उनके उनके दिल के काफ़ी करीब था। इसके आगे से मैं यू टेक इट फॉरवर्ड फ्रॉम हियर।
Yes, yes. As I said earlier, Savitribai Phule was part of all the activities that Phule initiated, or some of the activities were initiated by Savitribai herself. She was a radical in her own right. You know, 1848 school for girls, then 1850s school for Dalits. Savitribai was there. She actually was a headmaster of one school, and then there is not very clear evidence about this, but apparently she had started a, a group of women where women would come together from different castes, as a way to break caste, and there would be intermingling. Then in 1860s, they started a center for preventing infanticide. uh, there was a ban on widow remarriage in that time, but some widows would get pregnant for you know maybe because they were sexually assaulted or because they had sexual relations, but because they were widows, they could not give birth to the child, and therefore there used to be cases of infanticide. So Fule couple started a center where they said that these widows come to their place, give birth to child, and then disappear. And Fules would take care of that child. Savitribai Phule was, in the forefront of this initiative, and they ran this center for many years. Then, when Satyashudak Samaj was formed in 1873, she was a member of Satyashudak Samaj. The first Satyashudak marriage happened that was under the leadership of Savitribai Phule. So you see that, whatever initiative the couple took, Savitribai Phule was always there. When Jyotirai Phule died, there was a dispute about who will who will be part of the funeral procession, and there is this ritual of breaking the pot and the water pot, right? And also giving the flame,
Hmm.
lighting the flame. It is
Correct.
usually done by the son, and Fules did not have a biological son. They had adopted uh, one child who was in the infanticide prevention center. His name was Yashwant. So Fule's relatives took objection to Yashwant lighting the flame, but Savitribai Phule came forward and she was the one who lighted the pyre. So you can imagine, a woman doing something like this in 1890. But she did not care about anybody. She did not care about the traditions of society, and therefore she could like just stand up to the relatives and could do it. Even after Phule died, she continued working. She was actually the chairperson of the Satyashodak Samaj session that happened in 1893, and then she was very much part of the relief effort for plague epidemic, that had visited Pune in later part of 1890s. She actually died in that plague epidemic only while serving the people. So you can see that from the very beginning, from 1848 till she died, she had devoted herself to the social work. She was always there, whatever initiative was taken by the couple.
हुँ। हाँ, बिल्कुल मतलब आई थिंक फूले कपल एकदम पावर कपल था और मतलब हर तरफ से उन्होंने मतलब ब्राह्मणवाद को पूरी तरह से चैलेंज करा। और ये लोग ये जानना बहुत ये बोलना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि मतलब विडोज़ का जो सिचुएशन थी भारतवर्ष में आज भी ख़ैर बहुत अच्छी नहीं है, बट उस ज़माने में तो ये होता था कि विधवाओं के लिए एक अलग एक तो बिल्कुल ही उनको अपशगुनी टाइप माना जाता था, उनको एक सेपरेट कमरा दे दिया जाता था जिसमें सोने के लिए भी पूरी व्यवस्था नहीं होती थी और उनको बोला जाता था कि आप सिर्फ भगवान की पूजा करिए और कुछ नहीं कीजिए। और मतलब उनके केश काट दिए जाते थे एंड दे वर रियली रियली ट्रीटेड वेरी बैडली। और वहाँ पे अगर एक विडो प्रेग्नेंट हो जाती है, मे बी थ्रू सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट और हर सेक्सुअल डिजायर, और उस सिचुएशन को मतलब ये कितना कितना मतलब आज समाज जब इतना जटिल है इस इन सब टॉपिक्स के बारे में, तो मैं सोच के दंग रह गया था कि उस जमाने में समाज कितना जटिल होगा। और आज की तारीख उस जमाने में जब फूले कपल ने बोला कि नहीं तुम आ सकते हो और हमारे यहाँ पे तुम बच्चा कर सकते हो, कि कितना एम्पावरिंग और कितना लिबरेटिंग होगा। आई I मीन mean, ये सोच के ही मतलब मैं दंग रह जाता हूँ, मतलब जस्ट द थॉट ऑफ इट कि यार 1870 में ये चीज वो कर रहे थे।
Yes, they were like truly ahead of time, as I said, and they did not just stop at that. As I said, they did not have a biological child. Jyotirao Phule did not remarry, but there was one Brahmin widow called Kashibai who had come to their center to give birth to a child, and Fules adopted that child as their own, and they named him Yashwant.
हम्म।
So they adopted Yashwant and they raised him. He became a doctor later on. So you could see that, you know, they were radicals through and through, and they practiced what they preached.
हाँ, एब्सोल्युटली, मतलब वो बिल्कुल, बिल्कुल वो पूरा प्रैक्टिस करते थे इन इन देयर ओन वे ऑफ लाइफ। एंड आई वुड एंड यस, आई थिंक ये एपिसोड पूरे फूले कपल को डेडिकेट करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। एंड आई वुड ऑल्सो लाइक टू थैंक यू तेजस फॉर कमिंग ऑन द शो। इट वाज सच अ प्लेजर स्पीकिंग विथ यू टू लर्न अबाउट ज्योति फूले, एंड थैंक यू फॉर शेयरिंग ऑल दीज लवली स्टोरीज फ्रॉम योर रीडिंग्स।
Thank you so much for having me.
नो 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 वरीज। और कुछ एक लास्ट मैसेज आप देना चाहते हो टू लिसनर्स अराउंड कास्ट?
Well, some people tend to think that caste system does not exist anymore, or it is not as strong as it is used to be, but that is not true at all. So I'll request people to not dismiss this problem, rather to read more about it, to understand it with empathy, and then also try to move away from Brahminical practices and challenge caste system, in whatever way they can.
बिल्कुल। और एक बहुत शानदार वेबसाइट चलाते हैं तेजस, द शक्तिशोधक डॉट कॉम। इसमें आप कंट्रीब्यूट भी कर सकते हैं।
Yes.
एंड इफ़ यू वांट टू फाइट फॉर द कॉज, अगर आप चाहते हैं कि जो स्टोरीज हैं वो निकल के आए, एंड हाँ, मतलब आप, आई वुड गिव दिस स्पेस टू यू। तेजस, आप बताइए आपका क्या आइडिया है ऑफ दिस वेबसाइट एंड व्हाट इज योर विजन?
So I started this website because I wanted a place where I could publish translations of Satyashodhak movement. There's a lot of literature in Marathi from 19th century, from early 20th century, but it has remained in Marathi. So I wanted a space where I could publish, I could translate, and I could publish. But that's not the only aim. I want it also to be a place where people write, discuss, and there are lively debates about caste system and also other issues that concern our society.
मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ आपको ये सीरीज़ और ये एपिसोड पसंद आया होगा। मैं हर बार आपको कहता हूँ कि अगर आपको ये शो पसंद आया, सीरीज़ पसंद आई, तो आप मेरे शो को सब्सक्राइब करें, पर मैं इस बार मैं वो नहीं कहूँगा। अगर आपको वाकई में ये शो और ये सीरीज़ पसंद आई है, तो आप इन लोगों को फॉलो करें, आप तेजस को फॉलो करें, जो जो कास्ट के मुद्दे को इतने ओपनली हमको अवेयर कर रहे हैं इस बारे में। आप उनकी वेबसाइट्स देखें, सत्यशोधक समाज को .com को देखें, और इस तरीके के कई वेबसाइट्स हैं जो कास्ट के मुद्दे में और कास्ट की न्यूज़ आप तक पहुंचाने की पूरी कोशिश कर रही हैं, पर शायद वो मेन स्ट्रीम में नहीं है। आप उनको फॉलो करें। मैंने कुछ लिंक्स शो नोट्स में भी दिए हैं, आप जाइए। और मेरी बस ये रिक्वेस्ट है आपसे कि कास्ट के मुद्दे पे थोड़ी अवेयरनेस बढ़ाइए। ये बहुत बहुत ज़रूरी मुद्दा है हमारे समाज का, और अगर हमने इसको सीरियसली नहीं लिया तो हम एक आधुनिक भारत कभी नहीं बन पाएंगे। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ट्यूनिंग इन, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर लिसनिंग। उम्मीद करता हूँ एपिसोड पसंद आया होगा। ध्यान रखिए, स्टे होम, स्टे सेफ। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।